Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, co-editor-in-chief of Retail Insider. Joining me today is Michael Kehoe, who is broker of record with Fairfield Commercial Real Estate in Calgary. Thanks, Mike, for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me, Mario.
All right, we're going to talk about 50 years, not your age, but the number of years you have been in the commercial real estate industry. Wow. Tell me what your first job was in this industry.
Well, it's been a great run starting in 1975. My background was in advertising and marketing through school and my first jobs, and then I became a marketing director at a regional shopping center, and that was the start. I just fell in love with shopping centers from a very early age, and that's where I started.
Where was that?
Well, it was in Calgary at Southcentre Mall.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so what did you do after South Center?
Well, I joined the Cadillac Fairview Corporation and moved to Edmonton to Bonnie Doon Shopping Center and worked with some great people there and as a marketing director at the mall. And then I got into shopping center management.
Okay. And just run me through where you've been and up to now.
Well, from Cadillac Fairview, I was hired by a regional developer, Stewart Green Properties, to be the assistant manager at Kingsway Mall in Edmonton, which was a great opportunity for me because I wanted to get into shopping center management. And I did 11 years with that firm, progressing up through the ranks to shopping center manager, got into leasing. Then became the worked as a leasing executive during the dark days of the National Energy Program in Edmonton, and
Yeah.
then moved to their Calgary head office and became their vice president of leasing and marketing. And that was a great 11-year run. And it was exciting times in the shopping center industry in Alberta throughout the 1980s. There was a lot of new development, a lot of shopping centers expanding, and it really was the Wild West of the industry. And I look back on it with great memories.
Okay. And then what?
Well, in 1991, I left corporate life and started up my own small boutique brokerage as a sole practitioner and started basically doing shopping center and Main Street leasing in Alberta and then across Western Canada. I've worked all over Canada and internationally, but I've really enjoyed being a boutique style broker working with a small number of clients, giving good service and establishing great relationships, and working with some great colleagues who have joined me throughout the years from time to time. As needed, I could scale up or scale down depending on the cyclical economy. And yeah, it's been an interesting ride, and that kind of sums up the past 50 years of my commercial real estate career.
So what is it about commercial real estate and specifically in the retail area that is appealing to you and attractive to you?
Well, it's a fast-paced environment. It's changing all the time, and it's different every day. I worked for many years on the landlord side as a developer representative, and I've been a broker working on listing, project leasing. I like the project leasing where you come in at the start and work through the project until it's up and completed and open for business. And do a lot of tenant representation work. And it's different every day. It's relationship driven. And that's what I like about it. It's a people business. It's changing rapidly now, with technology and the changing shopping patterns and how these properties are evolving. And I find that to be quite exciting.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? I think in terms of AI and technology, it's taking over almost all aspects of business and industry. When it comes to real estate and commercial real estate, how important is that human element that needs to remain there?
Well, that's a great question because the human element is really what it's all about. It's a relationship business, and AI can do certain things, but as a commercial real estate professional who brings people together and manages relationships and manages people's expectations and leads them towards a commitment, whether it's purchasing a commercial real estate property or signing a long-term lease in a shopping center or on a main street, that's a human eye-to-eye relationship type business. And people engage with me because of my knowledge and my ability to get things done and to deal with people. Um, whether you're representing one side or the other, you're dealing with people to bring them together to lead to a commitment to complete a project and often with a lot of money on the line with respect to investment and personal commitments from people. And people want to know that you can do the work, that you can be trusted, and get things done.
So tell me, when you look back over those 50 years, let's talk a little bit right now about shopping centers. And you've had, no, a number of years of experience working within the shopping center environment, but and also, of course, outside of it. Uh, what's the biggest change you've seen in shopping centers over that time?
I think shopping centers are always evolving and changing and to suit consumer preferences and the market demands. But I think the biggest thing that I've seen is the institutional ownership that really came in with the securitization of commercial real estate in the mid 1990s and gained momentum, where pension funds, real estate investment trusts, institutional ownership came in and purchased shopping centers and changed the nature and the dynamics of the industry. Before that, shopping centers were owned by entrepreneurial driven
Hmm,
companies that were often families or partnerships. I've seen the changes over the years. Um, and so I've navigated that with success. And now we're seeing a bit of a trend back to entrepreneurial ownership, where some of the institutional firms are divesting of some properties that they deem as non-core assets, and they're
hmm.
going back to the entrepreneurial owners. So that's an
Interesting.
exciting trend.
What about the offering? And what as a consumer or entering a mall, how has that changed over those years?
Well, what's new is old. What's old is new again, I guess you could say. There just seems to be this complete dependence on branded chain stores, often from the United States or Eastern Canada, where a lot of the major malls look the same. They have the same offerings. So I think they have to work hard to differentiate themselves. Um, but that's one trend that I see is kind of a lack of local brands. Um, and
Hmm.
I think they could do better with that, not just pop up and temporary tenants, but
Yeah,
when I go to a city, I like to see a local flavor and offering of the best of that city, whether it's food service or it's retailing.
yeah,
Uh, I want to have that experience, and I kind of look for that. But when I travel cities throughout Canada, there seems to be a sameness with the shopping centers, but they've done a good job creating an experience and. I think the future's bright, and I'm looking forward to continuing to deal with the ownership, the management, and the leasing people of these properties. But it's going to take a lot of work to keep the ball rolling, as they say.
yeah. What about when you look back, say 50 years ago, and you look to today? Would you ever have thought that you would see the things in malls that are appearing today, like pickleball courts, schools, et cetera, uh, those types of offerings? Did you ever think the shopping center environment would evolve to that?
It's constantly changing, Mario, and I think the best is yet to come. I think there are more dramatic changes coming. I don't think I quite envisioned that we would see, pickleball courts,
Yeah,
medical clinics on the main mall.
yeah,
Certainly, yeah, it's always evolving, and I think the pace of change is only picking up, with technology and consumer shopping patterns changing, and certainly I look forward to seeing how commercial real estate building owners repurpose space from time to time.
yeah.
And the major malls are the masters of cycling in new tenants to keep the offerings fresh. It's quite impressive how quickly they can repurpose space with new brands, and I really like that.
Yeah. Okay, we talked about shopping centers. I wanted to get your thoughts on the downtown. And this is downtown in general. It used to be a big thing. A lot of people go downtown and shop, right? What's happened to retail in the downtown cores of our cities over the last few years, especially?
Well, public safety is a big concern in all downtowns, and especially with the coveted female shopper, um, you know, um, often with her family in tow on the weekends, or uh, you know, once you've lost that shopper, I think it's hard to get them back, and
Yeah.
I think the downtowns need to work on making. Certainly on public safety, uh, family friendly, accessible. Um, yeah, but downtowns, it's never as bad as the media makes it out to be.
Yeah.
Um, Downtowns are thriving, and I see sales from various restaurants and retailers
Mm.
um, in the downtowns, and people are back in the offices. Um, there's great after work traffic. Um, and so I'm excited for downtown. And in particular in Calgary, the city's done a great job revitalizing post-pandemic, repurposing different buildings and encouraging development and redevelopment. So I'm very optimistic about downtowns. And I do a lot of work in downtown environments and urban environments. And yeah, I think the future's bright.
Okay. Speaking of which, we over the last few years, especially, there's been a lot of chatter, obviously, about e-commerce and online shopping, and for a guy that, your whole business is on the physical side of things, right, on real estate. Um, give me your thoughts on e-commerce and why, physical stores have been resilient and they haven't died as predicted maybe a couple of years ago.
No, the death of the mall was highly rated. I think it was a bit of a media construct, but yeah, there's always be a purpose for bricks and mortar stores. People want to be out and shop. They want to see and be seen. They want to interact with other people, and of course, e-commerce has its place, and it was a game changer, and it continues to evolve. But I think physical stores will always be a critical element of the sort of the omni-channel experience where a retailer really has to cover all the bases with various channels to be successful in this day and age. And retailing is an international um, endeavor. A lot of these firms have stores internationally across the globe, and people are shopping from everywhere all the time. But there's nothing like going to a physical store on the main street or in a shopping center being able to touch the merchandise, talk to a sales representative, and experience the culture that a brand can create in a physical environment.
Now, which actually reminds me of something else. A few years ago, we discussed how you like to walk around. You like to walk around and get feet on the pavement, on the streets, looking at things. Tell me why.
Well, I think it goes back to a great business book that I read probably 40 years ago called In Search of Excellence. And one of their chestnuts in that book was management by walking around. And if you work in commercial real estate, you always have to be out and about talking to people. Dropping in my realm where I work in retail and restaurant development and leasing, you have to always be in stores or in restaurants, talking to business owners, getting a feel for what's happening, walking the main street, looking for the telltale signs that a location may be turning over and get ahead of the curve before it comes to market.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think there's, dropping your business card off, shaking a few hands. I think that's a critical element. If you really enjoy your industry, if you like working in the trade, you have to be out and about. And I talk to young people that are entering the business or
Mm.
young people that are working in the business about this. Cold calling is the mother's milk of commercial real estate brokerage. You have to be out talking to people all the time. And it's so easy to sit in an office with your desktop and your email and your cell phone and try to manage everything by remote control. But that just never replaces the human contact, seeing people eye to eye and just a quick hello, checking in on you. How are sales? Is your space working out okay for you? Are you considering expanding? Where would you like to be?
Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks, Mike, for joining us today.
Thanks for the invitation, Mario. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. That was Michael Kehoe, broker of record with Fairfield Commercial Real Estate in Calgary. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, co-editor in chief of Retail Insider. Thanks for joining us today.